Hi, I'm Dr. Anthony Fernando, author of the best-selling book The Oracle Secret and creator of the Don't Quit video that has inspired over 4 million people around the world. And today, I have a question for you. Have you made any New Year's resolutions yet? Perhaps this is the year you want to lose a few pounds and enjoy the feeling of being fit and healthy again. Or maybe you want to start your own business and escape the 9-to-5 grind of your current job. Or perhaps this year you'll finally get around to writing that book you've been planning. Every year, millions of people around the world set New Year's resolutions and start the year with a sense of hope and excitement in their hearts. But the sad reality is, most people don't achieve their New Year's resolutions. In fact, a study conducted by the University of Bristol found that 88% of people who set New Year's resolutions fail to achieve their goals. Here's what usually happens. You start out well and make good progress for about 2 or 3 weeks. But then life gets busy, you get distracted, and your goal gets put back on the shelf for another year. After a few years of repeating this pattern, you eventually don't even bother setting New Year's resolutions. You end up thinking, what's the point? It never works out anyway. Well, all that is about to change. Because in this presentation, I'll share with you 3 powerful principles you can use to make sure that this year is different. First, you'll discover why willpower doesn't work and what you should use instead. Then, I'll reveal the one thing you need to do to eliminate procrastination from your life forever. And finally, I'll show you how to tap into an endless supply of drive and motivation. By the end of this video, you'll know how to apply these 3 principles in your life so you can make this the year you finally achieve your goals and create the life you've always wanted. So be sure to watch this video all the way to the end. Okay, let's get started. Why willpower doesn't work and what to use instead. Now, the idea that willpower doesn't work is probably going to come as quite a shock to you, because most of us have been brought up to believe that achieving goals is just a matter of having enough willpower. After all, that's what all the motivational gurus have been telling us for years. Set your goal and make it happen using your willpower, right? The only problem with this advice is that it usually doesn't work. And here's why. Recent university studies into human psychology and neuroscience have revealed that willpower is not the magic bullet that everyone thinks it is. In a series of groundbreaking experiments, Dr. Mark Muraven at the University of Albany discovered that willpower is in fact a very limited resource that quickly runs out. In one revealing experiment, students were presented with 2 bowls. One bowl contained warm, freshly baked cookies, and the other bowl contained cold radishes. The first group of students were told they could eat the cookies but had to ignore the radishes, which was very easy and didn't require any willpower. But a second group of students were told they could only eat the radishes but had to ignore the warm cookies, which required a lot of willpower. All the students were then asked to complete a difficult puzzle. The amazing thing was that the group who had already used up their willpower trying to resist the cookies gave up on the puzzle much more quickly. The researchers concluded that the students resisting the cookies had already used up their willpower and didn't have any left to work on the puzzle. According to Dr. Muraven, there's been more than 200 other studies that have examined willpower, and they've all come to the same conclusion. Willpower is a very limited resource and it quickly runs out. That's why 88% of people give up on their New Year's resolutions and why you're much more likely to break your diet at the end of a hard day at work when your willpower tanks are running low. What this research means is that trying to force yourself to take action using willpower is just not sustainable, and it's actually a terrible way to try and achieve your life goals. As you probably know from experience, it just doesn't work. Eventually, your willpower runs out and your progress comes to a grinding halt. So if willpower isn't the answer to achieving your most important goals, what is? How do you eliminate procrastination, develop a laser-like focus, and finally create the life you've always wanted? Well, the good news is that there is an alternative to willpower, and when you start using it, you'll be able to transform every aspect of your life. So what is this magical alternative to willpower? It's something I call want power. Want power is a completely different way to think about achieving your most important life goals. It involves figuring out what you really want and then programming that goal deep into your subconscious mind so you develop a burning desire to make it happen. Instead of trying to use your limited willpower to force yourself to take action, want power involves igniting your inner desire so that you're compelled to take action. Here's an example that highlights the difference between willpower and want power. This is Karen. Karen's dream is to write a children's book and become a successful author. She's tried to achieve this goal several times before, but every time she tried, the same thing happened. She'd start off well, make good progress for a couple of weeks, and then inevitably something would go wrong. Either her son would get sick, or there'd be a crisis at work, or her parents would need help. There was always something. She'd try and force herself to work on her book using her willpower, but eventually her willpower would run out and she'd give up. Now let's take a look at how Karen can make the switch from using willpower to using want power. This time, Karen begins by writing down why she really wants to become a successful author. Her list includes to stop working full-time as a legal secretary, to spend more time at home with my son, to be able to take my family on a vacation, and to be able to send my little boy to a good school. When Karen focuses on what she really wants, an interesting thing starts to happen. She develops a feeling of desire deep in her heart, and this feeling of desire is what want power is all about. As she thinks about what she wants more and more, her feeling of desire grows, and eventually it compels her to take action and start writing. You see, when you get crystal clear about what you're trying to achieve and you want to make it happen with all your heart and soul, then nothing can stop you. Unlike willpower that quickly runs out, want power is a long-term fuel that keeps you motivated for as long as it takes to reach your goal. By focusing on why she really wants to become an author, Karen gets into the habit of writing every day despite all the day-to-day distractions that surround her. And by tapping into her want power, she's well on the way to achieving her goal and making her dream a reality. So just to recap, you now know that willpower is not the magic bullet everyone thinks it is, and that trying to force yourself to take action using your willpower is just not sustainable. Instead, you need to make the switch to using want power. And I'll show you exactly how to do this later in this video, so be sure to keep watching. When you figure out what you really want and program it deep into your subconscious mind, you'll be amazed at what you can achieve. Okay, so now that you understand the difference between willpower and want power, let's take a look at the second principle I want to share with you today, which is the one thing you must do to eliminate procrastination from your life forever. Whenever you procrastinate, there's a mental tug of war going on inside your brain. On one side of this tug of war is the goal that you know you should be working on, and on the other side is a short-term distraction. For example, when Karen was trying to force herself to write her book using her willpower, here is the tug of war that took place inside her head. On one side was the idea of writing her book, and on the other side was the idea of checking out what her friends were up to on Facebook. In this matchup, the short-term distraction of catching up with her friends on Facebook was often more appealing than the idea of sitting down at her computer to write, so Karen would regularly procrastinate. However, let's now take a look at what happened when Karen made the switch from using willpower to using want power. By focusing on why she really wanted to achieve her goal, Karen drastically changed the mental tug of war taking place in her mind. Here's what her new tug of war looked like. On one side was the idea of checking out what her friends were doing on Facebook. But on the other side was the idea of no longer working full-time, plus the idea of spending more time at home with her son, plus the idea of going on holiday with her family, plus the idea of being able to send her son to a good school. In this new mental matchup, you can see that Karen's goal now has a lot more pulling power, and it's this pulling power that enabled Karen to overcome procrastination and take action on her writing. What this means is the one thing you must do to eliminate procrastination from your life forever is to increase the level of want power associated with your goal. Now you're probably thinking, that sounds great, but how do I increase my levels of want power? To answer this question, let's take a look at the next principle I want to share with you today, which is how to tap into an endless supply of drive and motivation. There are a number of ways to increase the level of want power associated with your goals. And while I don't have the time to describe them all in this video, I'd like to share one of the most effective strategies with you, which is to create a vision video. A vision video combines images, words, and music to create a powerful representation of your goal and the future you want to create. Here's a quick excerpt from Karen's vision video, which helped her to increase the levels of want power associated with her goal. Now it's really important to understand how using a vision video works in the real world. In recent times, there's been a lot of talk about the law of attraction. Unfortunately, some people have suggested that all you have to do is think happy thoughts and the universe will magically deliver everything you want to your doorstep. In my experience, it doesn't quite work like that. Think about it. If all Karen did was think positive thoughts about being an author, it's not as though one day she'd wake up and find a finished book manuscript sitting on her desk. Here's how things work in the real world. As you watch your vision video and think more and more about what you really want, you'll feel a well of desire start bubbling up inside your heart. This desire is what want power is all about. And as your want power grows stronger and stronger, you'll feel compelled to take action. So the process is, your thoughts lead to an inner burning desire called want power, your want power compels you to take action, and it's your action that leads to results. For example, Karen watches her vision video every morning and fills the subconscious mind with thoughts about being an author and the impact this would have on her life. These thoughts create an intense feeling of desire called want power, and it's this want power that compels her to get focused, take action, and start writing. And it's through repeated action that she produces results. And you can use this exact same process to achieve virtually any goal in your life. All you have to do is get crystal clear on exactly what your goal is, start visualizing it every day to increase your levels of want power, and then take action to make it happen. Maybe you've always wanted to learn the piano, or perhaps you want to find the love of your life and build a relationship filled with fun, happiness, and laughter. Or maybe you're studying, trying to get fit, or working on building your own business. Whatever your goals may be, when you understand how to make the switch from using willpower to using want power, you'll be able to achieve more than you ever thought possible. Okay, we've covered a lot in this video today, so let's just quickly recap the main takeaway points. First, we saw why willpower doesn't work and what to use instead. You now know that willpower is not the magic bullet that most people think it is. In fact, the research proves that willpower is a very limited resource that quickly runs out. We saw that trying to force yourself to achieve your goals using willpower is not sustainable, which is why so many people fail to stick with their New Year's resolutions. Next, we saw that the alternative to willpower is want power, which is an inner burning desire that compels you to take action and can keep you motivated for as long as it takes. Then, we saw the one thing you need to do to eliminate procrastination from your life forever is to increase the level of want power associated with your goal. When you clarify your goal and you want to achieve it with all your heart, you'll easily overcome the pull of common day-to-day distractions. Next, we looked at how to tap into an endless supply of drive and motivation and discovered a great way to increase your levels of want power is to create a vision video, which combines words, images and music that help get you motivated. And finally, we saw that the way this works in the real world is that your thoughts create a burning inner desire called want power. Your want power then compels you to take action, and it is your action that leads to results. In tomorrow's video, we'll take a look at 3 more powerful principles that will help you get focused, stay focused, and make this the year you finally create the life you've always wanted. First, I'll show you how to double your productivity so you can achieve your goals faster than ever before. Then, you'll discover a simple 5-step process to help you break the bad habits that are currently robbing you of the success you deserve. Plus, you'll learn the secret to creating new positive habits so they stick, no matter how busy you are or how many times you may have failed in the past. So keep an eye out for my email tomorrow, and if you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you.